Congratulations on finally succeeding and hitting the Caio Terra ankle lock in competition.
Yes.
You've been using it for years. I've seen you sweep people with it left, right, and center.
Yep.
I know you've tapped me with it, but you haven't done it in competition until last weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been 4 years since I learned the technique. I've literally been working on this, a 4-year mission. Just for those of you who don't know, if I happen to get someone in the De La Riva guard, or I can enter directly into this, which I'll show you how I did it in the tournament, but I get an overhook on my partner's ankle. I use the butterfly hook on the far leg to stretch him out, and as he drops, the pressure starts to come on for the ankle lock. So that's what we're talking about here. And the process of getting to being able to submit someone with it, what's really helped me was, because my students and like visiting students have all had me like spam this on them, I have a few students who are quite good at defending the actual submission itself. So if I'm already...
So when you say spamming somebody with this, you mean just...
I just do it over and over, yeah, like every roll I just start out, like the first thing I try to hit on people is this. Right. So
because the consequences of it not working are not that high.
They're non-existent. I'm not going to get my guard passed. It's not a Hail Mary. If I get to my no-gi De La Riva guard, I just try to do this. But because there's no setup there, like you're just in my no-gi De La Riva guard, as I go to do this, my students have become very proficient, at least the higher level ones, at negating it because there's no setup. So what
do you mean there's no setup?
There's no setup in the sense that I'm not breaking your alignment, and I'm not giving you anything else to worry about.
Right.
So I'm just here, and I'm trying to do that right away.
Right.
All right. So because you've still got good structure in your limbs, and your hands are doing something, you're in a good base, you've got like a low stance, it's really tricky for people who are super familiar with the technique for me to hit on. So what I did in the tournament, in speaking to my opponent and his coaches, I'm a pretty convivial guy when we're out there, I'm not trying to kill anybody. They did mention it, like, hey, they saw my name in the bracket, they're like, oh, that guy likes these few moves, so they worked on stopping that stuff.
This is talking to them after?
This is talking to them after the match, okay. and even like a little bit before, because we're all friends. So I knew that if one of the things they'd be worried about would be me getting both my feet inside and just going with a conventional leg entanglement game. And so...
Modern leg lock formula.
Yeah. So I just kept my legs on the outside. So this is like a leg positioning thing.
Relative to me to step in.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, once I won, and we emphasize this in the no-gi De La Riva formula, which is winning the hand fight from the open guard. Once I got the 2-on-1 grip and I have my feet on the outside, the only thing you can really do if you don't want to be here is to start to pull back. And so now you're pulling me into the position. And as you pull me into the position, because I'm still controlling this wrist, the main thing you need to do to defend this is to interfere with what's going on this side. That arm's not going to cut it. Exactly. So I now have a free entry into the position while still holding your wrist. And as I begin the process of the sweep, because that hand is still controlled and you're resisting backwards, you don't have the ability to defend. So all the things that people are going to be doing involve stripping that foot, like doing all kinds of stuff on that side. So it's a process that of experimentation and trial and error that led to attacking in the particular way that I attacked it and being able to finish.
So to summarize this into like 3 easy steps,
you
started with a really wide stance, which is not your typical.
It's atypical, and it invites people to step in thinking that they're going to be able to
knee cut
or something like that. Win the hand fight, which is not particular to this is particular to any open guard situation. And then as I pull in, take advantage of that momentary backward pulling motion, still controlling this wrist here, which allows me to create like a little bit of pull, which again, you start pulling back, and then that allows me to hit the submission.
Okay. While we're here, why don't we debug the Caio Terra ankle lock? Because a lot of people say stuff like, man, I can get to the position, I just can't finish it. Or I'm doing it and just doing something a little bit wrong. In fact, you've been working on it for 4 years.
Hopefully I've got some
fine-tuning, but there's also
a lot of
fine-tuning.
Yes.
So what are the most common fine-tuning adjustments that you have to tell people?
For sure.
What are the most common mistakes that people make?
Okay, so on gaining the position, the most common mistake is that people try to keep their wrist solid and they can't make the connection. You do have to fold your hand to come through. Yeah, so you're like creating this gooseneck position and moving your hip out. The other thing that people tend to miss sometimes is my lat should be on the top of your foot.
Yes.
So that I'm actually activating the lever with my back.
So if we just roll up here,
yeah,
my foot's here, not there.
As opposed to there, exactly. So yeah, so this is where I want to end up. Not on my side like this, but just so you can see, like this is where I want. So if I have this kind of compression, so my elbow is contracting and I'm raising, like I'm getting like a proud chest out kind of thing. So now if you go to rotate your foot out, it's stuck. And that has to be in place throughout the whole movement.
Right.
Because if at any point somebody can do this with their foot, it's going to really like limit your ability to extend it.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different from how the ankle lock is conventionally done, because typically in a standard ankle lock or Achilles lock, the foot ends up being here, not there.
Yeah, I mean the other thing that's really important is the foot positioning. So a lot of people think they're not flexible enough to do this because they think they need to keep the De La Riva hook the whole way. You don't. You can drop the De La Riva hook.
Just kind of go back to here.
Yeah, and then the goal is, if you just like fall down without me having a crank on you, the goal is at this point, if you can, so just bend your knee a little for me, if you can reinsert the De La Riva hook.
Yeah.
That's what, like this is the sort of the primary finishing positioning is your foot is on my lat, on my ribs or my back in some fashion, and this foot is engaged really strong so that I can put as much pressure, like the back of my hamstring here is pressuring against your shin fairly close to the end of the lever. So I'm like, my knee is tracking directly towards you and I'm bringing my elbow up off the ground. And then, I mean, you would use both hands for this, definitely. Like when I do it in training, I always try to finish with one hand. In the match, I actually did it with two hands because I really wanted to finish, and that amplifies the force, obviously. So yeah, I think those three details, making sure that the foot positioning is correct, and making sure that the wrist actually folds to get in. I think the hip movements are fairly well known, so I didn't really go into those. And then knowing that you can drop the De La Riva foot and reinsert it as necessary, and that you don't have to reinsert the De La Riva hook as long as there's pressure downwards like this with the bottom of my hamstring or my thigh as I maintain the upward pressure on the ankle. It's harder to finish that way, but it's doable.
Right. Very similar to the basic Kazushi motion of the De La Riva guard.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if people want to find out more about the De La Riva guard formula, you can click on the link. There's a video there that'll take you through the basics of what's on the De La Riva guard formula. And if you want to work on that position, including this ankle lock, there's a product for you.